the lawyer who saved his client from death just by talking. Welcome to Midnight Story, the channel that takes you on a journey through the strangest and most thrilling tales, from mysterious crimes to spine-chilling horror stories. I'm Belly, and today I have an unbelievable story for you. A story about a man who defeated death with words alone. Imagine this. You've been sentenced to death for a crime you didn't commit. The only person standing between you and execution is your lawyer. But instead of using evidence or witnesses, he chooses a completely different weapon: talking. This bizarre story took place in France in the 19th century, but it became so famous that the world still talks about it to this day. The beginning, a death sentence. The story starts with General Jean Travaux, a highly respected military leader in France. One day, he was suddenly accused of high treason, a crime that carried only one punishment: death by guillotine. Despite his reputation as a loyal soldier, the trial was quick and brutal. Within days, he was found guilty, and the execution was scheduled. His only hope? A royal pardon from the king. But there was a big problem. The royal palace was miles away, and it would take time for his wife to travel there and plead for mercy. The execution was set to happen before she could return. Enter the genius lawyer. This is where our hero comes in, Louis Bernard, the lawyer with an extraordinary gift. He wasn't just any lawyer, he was known for his unmatched persuasion skills. He could change the course of a trial just by the way he spoke. And he had one brilliant idea. He needed to delay the execution at all costs until the king's pardon arrived. But how? He had no power to stop the court, except for one thing: he could keep talking. The longest speech in history. On the day of the execution, Bernard stood before the judge and requested one final defense speech for his client. But he had one condition: no interruptions. The judge agreed, thinking it would be over in a few minutes. But Bernard had other plans. 1 hour passed, 2 hours, 3 hours, and he was still talking. The courtroom started getting restless. The other lawyers were yawning, the guards were shifting in their seats, but Bernard never stopped. He began telling the entire life story of General Travaux in excruciating detail. His childhood, his education, his friendships, his favorite foods. He was saying absolutely anything just to keep talking. 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. The courtroom was nearly empty. People walked in and out. Some fell asleep in their chairs. But Bernard was still speaking. 48 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours. The judge was furious. The executioner was waiting with the guillotine ready, but Bernard refused to stop. He drank water while speaking just so he wouldn't have to pause. The moment of truth. On the 5th day of the trial, after over 120 hours of non-stop talking, something incredible happened. The king granted the pardon. The general's wife had finally reached the royal palace and convinced the king to spare her husband's life. The king signed the pardon, and a messenger rushed back to the court as fast as possible. At the very moment the executioner prepared the guillotine, the messenger burst into the courtroom, shouting, "The king has granted a pardon." The courtroom erupted in shock. Bernard, after over 5 days of continuous speaking, simply smiled and immediately collapsed from exhaustion. A legendary ending. Thanks to this incredible legal trick, General Travaux' life was saved at the very last second. And Louis Bernard? He went down in history for delivering the longest legal defense speech ever recorded, a speech that literally saved a man's life. The case became legendary, spreading across the world as one of the most brilliant and bizarre legal stories of all time. Have final words. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Midnight Story for more incredible tales. I'm Belly, and I'll see you soon with another mind-blowing story.